Hi, my name is Sarah Weger, and this is my dad, Bill Hudson.
Hello.
My dad is a long retired aerospace engineer and now a recognized watercolor artist. He recently wrote a memoir titled Setting Life's Course, Discovering Value and Purpose, and it's phenomenal. But he didn't really tell anyone about it. He just wrote it, self-published it on Amazon, told some friends and family about it, thought that was that. And being the introvert he is, I think he was happy with just that. But then I read it. And as I told my dad, more people need to know about his book because his is the book that helps us understand our parents' generation better and even helps answer some of life's biggest questions like, why was I born? Why are we here? What is my value and purpose? And for people my dad's age, of the boomer generation, his book has helped them recall their entire childhood and the things that once brought them great joy. So I finally convinced my dad to do this podcast with me so that we can share these gifts with others. So now I'd like to introduce my dad and have him tell us why he decided to write a memoir.
Thank you, Sarah. I really didn't intend to write a memoir, but several years ago, I went back to Baltimore and met with my old childhood friends. And we just sat around, started telling our stories, and we just kept laughing. And their spouses were laughing. So it seemed to have appeal to other people. So I thought, hey, some of the lessons learned are relevant to art. And I do a monthly art newsletter. So I began sharing some of those stories with my subscribers who also seemed to enjoy it. I got great comments back from them. So the more I wrote, the more suppressed memories began to surface. And as I wrote these stories, I began to realize that things that I had regarded as coincidences in my life seemed logically connected. I began to appreciate life a lot more. I started thinking maybe this was orchestrated and there was a destiny that I was headed toward. And I didn't realize that until I wrote all these down and put them together. And that's why I would recommend the exercise for nearly everyone.
So here we are. We're ready to share a path to better understanding one another, hilarious trips down memory lane, and the case for writing a memoir. This is a daughter, her dad, and his memoir. You ready, Dad?
Not really, but hey, let's get started.
All right. So enthusiastic. Hey, Sarah here. Before we dive into today's episode, there's something you should know. It wasn't recently recorded. It wasn't even recorded within the last year. It was actually recorded 3 years ago, and I am just now posting it today. Long story short, I decided when my dad and I took on this project that I was going to be the editor. I was going to be the technical person when I had zero experience being that kind of person. And I let my perfectionism get in the way big time. I would start to edit these episodes with a certain expectation in mind that it was going to be like NPR's This American Life or something super established like that. And in reality, like my dad and I are more comfortable with like a 90s handheld camera and the cap is still on it. Like that's more our lane. But I, for some reason, had these expectations. And so I'd start to edit these things. It wouldn't feel the way that I thought it could. And so I'd stop, come back to it. I'd start again, stop, come back to it. I did that for 3 years, people. And even though my dad's been cool about it, he's like, Sarah, it's okay. I don't even expect anyone to listen to this. So who cares? Thank you, Dad, for that. It's been really important to me. And so we've gotten to the point where we're just putting it out there. So what you're going to hear is very raw, very unedited, very rough, but it's just a dad and daughter having a conversation. Also, please keep in mind that 3 years ago, life was quite a bit different. At the time Biden was in office, this was before the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This is before escalations between Russia and Ukraine were just beginning. The more severe escalations between Israel and Palestine, like that hadn't occurred yet. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour wasn't even a thing. Like none of that happened yet. So certain things were different, but at the same time, the themes and the topics that we touch on are timeless. The conversations that we have to me are timeless, even though there might be little nuances here and there that would be different had we recorded these episodes today. All that to say, please keep that in mind that this happened 3 years ago and I hope you enjoy.
Okay. Gosh, this is so cool. Can I ask, am I the first Hudson kid that the three of you have met, or that any of you have met?
Well, we just met your sister about a minute before you came on.
Oh, Val beat me.
Yeah.
Wow.
You are the first one, yes.
Yes.
This is really, really neat. Thank you for doing this. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, my
And
friend
Sarah is the baby of our family. She's the youngest of 8. So
Jeez.
yeah.
All right. Well, this is
Were you-
gonna
Sarah,
be
were
fun.
you spoiled?
I don't think I was, but that's the lifelong joke from my siblings, that I was the most spoiled. So
That's what they all say about me. I'm the
Absolutely.
youngest, and they always say he was spoiled. And I don't think so.
Yes, he was.
I can't really think of anything that I got new, because everything was, hand-me-downs, like
Yeah.
new clothes, nothing like that. It was just always my siblings' soccer cleats or whatever it was. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I must tell you that Steve on 14th of December, and the rest of us only had one birthday, but not him. He had 2. He had a celebrating birthday in September and his real birthday in December.
Well,
I call that a little spoiled.
well. Yeah, but I had to wear her hand-me-downs, Bill. How do you think that affected me? Huh?
And he could never fit in them. His legs were too skinny.
It probably all evened out then. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you going? All right, go ahead.
All right.
You'll be back in a minute.
You get up.
Okay.
Okay, hit the script, Sarah, and we can start.
Take control, Sarah.
All right,
Yeah.
Dad, I got this. Okay, so in our last couple episodes, Dad began introducing us to his neighborhood friends who all played sandlot baseball together. And today we have a really special episode, because we are about to personally meet the Wrights, brother, Alverta, and Steve. They lived,
Right.
they lived 2 hours down from my dad's family on Hiss Avenue in Parkville. And all 3 still live in the Parkville area. So although my dad's family moved from Parkville when he was 13, he stayed in touch with the Wrights. And according to Dad, it was meeting the Wrights about 6 years ago, just getting together with them, that convinced him he should write this book. Isn't that right, Dad?
That's the way I remember it, Sarah. Yes.
Are you reading that on a script, Bill? That's the way I remember.
No, it is. It's that one day and it was quick, because I had to be in Bel Air that same day, and we only had a few, maybe 2 or 3 hours together. But
Right.
I remember laughing hard and just enjoying being with you guys. And I said, man, this could be interesting for other people. Certainly my kids. I would like my kids to know what it was like growing up in Parkville and in the 50s. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. So,
Well, it was very nice. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of, but we had a whole lot of fun.
that's right.
We had a lot of kids, too.
Yeah, right. And it was mostly boys.
You
Yeah.
were the only one on the Sandlot team, right? The only girl on the Sandlot team?
Absolutely. Well, Sarah, it was either play with the boys and do what they did, or sit home alone. And I'd rather go out and play. So, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
I competed with them, not for them.
I
And
like it.
I will tell you this. She's the best athlete in the neighborhood.
I've heard.
When I was younger.
What, she was excellent.
And Alverta and brother were typically the organizers of all the rest of us. I think they were, Alverta was 2 years older than me. Brother was, I think, 4 years older.
Yeah.
And brother was the guy that kind of got all of us interested, I think, in baseball and then in football in the streets and stuff. But brother got us going. But brother and Alverta were the leaders. And Alverta, yes, was the best athlete in the neighborhood. And I'm talking probably in our block was 20 kids roughly, if you just went around the block.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 It was, just a whole bunch of us. And like I said, and 90% of them were boys.
Yep.
95% of them.
Yeah.
Until the Novaks moved in, your favorite.
Well, Gail and Jeannie Novak moved right between the house between our house and the Wrights.
Yes.
So right between was Gail Novak and Jeannie Novak. And I don't ever remember either of them playing baseball.
No.
They were too feminine.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to get dirty.
Oh.
They couldn't play in the dirt.
Yeah. And Gail Novak's mother ran the beauty shop at the up at the corner next to Sam's barber shop. So Gail was always very pretty.
Yes.
Very feminine.
Did all 20 of you kids ever play something besides baseball?
As we got a little older, like 13, 14, a bunch of us played basketball. We played any sport that was in season, and like Billy said, street football. We used to play football in the streets and basketball up the elementary school and all that. But baseball was probably the most organized. You had teams, you had hats and jerseys and the names. So.
Brother, what do you think? What do you think Sandlot baseball would have looked like without you trying to keep everyone calm and organized?
Same. No difference, I guess. Just part of the crowd.
Somebody would have taken it over.
I have a feeling there would have been a lot more injuries too.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
did you? Were you weren't a safe guy?
No.
No, you weren't safe.
More arguments, more fights that wouldn't have gone resolved as quickly, maybe.
Well, let me say this about brother, and then I'll get brother's version of it, okay? When our Sandlot first started, which was right across the street, it was just dirt lot, and which I guess the Methodist Church owned, but they never developed. And that's where brother got us all going there. This is the way I remember it. And we played there, and it was rocky, and everything went up from home plate. Okay, it went up a hill.
Yeah, uphill.
And on the left field side was this neighbor, Old Man Hawes, is the way I remember them. And Old Man Hawes, we were all there playing, and whenever a baseball went into his yard, he ran out and got it, and he wouldn't give it to us. And I remember Old Man Hawes, he just looked mean. He looked like he had a bad night. His face was always red. That was my impression, like he just. So brother decided to fix it so Old Man Hawes wasn't getting our baseballs, and he was going to pay a penalty for getting the baseballs. So brother, can you give your version of how you fixed Old Man Hawes?
You and Dick the Fatter with the rock salt.
With rock salt or something like that?
Tell the story.
Well, it was one of Alan's friends. What was it? Wes then?
Wesley's probably.
Probably Bill and Tony's then. They changed hands so many times. But the old lady had a big garden out, proud of her flowers. Well, a little rock salt took care of that. But the old man, he was a smoke hound anyway.
That was you and Dickie the Fatter, right?
Yeah.
Dick the Fatter.
Yeah.
One of the Fatter boys. And then when it rained, it really didn't
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like the desert after that.
He spread rocks.
Scorched earth policy.
This is
Brother fixed a lot of the the older, there was 3 guys I remember. Mr. Haney lived next door to us, and we didn't all get along with Mr. Haney. And Mr. Paleo lived right behind us,
Yeah.
and they were the Grouches. Oh, and there was also the Hineses that moved in later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Next to the Wentworth.
but brother fixed. He also fixed Mr. Haney a couple of times, and I remember Mr. Haney started playing this Hawaiian guitar at night.
Yeah.
You remember that, brother?
Oh, I remember it. Yeah.
Well,
The older guys took care of Haney. They
Junior DeFada, Earl House.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the older guys, because he was, I don't know,
You'll have to get Steve to tell you the story the day that Mr. Haney took a header over our porch railing.
Oh, well, it was
It was Christmas time.
Christmas time, and I don't know whether you were still in the neighborhood or not,
I
but
think so.
my father and your father, I think Mr. Haney, they would start at somebody's house and have a drink at this house, a drink at that house, and
at Christmas time, right?
Yeah, it's every year to happen.
Right,
Well,
right.
One year it was New Year's Eve, I think, and my father always threw a party New Year's Eve. Well, unfortunately, he had just cut down some like pine trees in front of our house, but the stumps were still there. Well, Mr. Haney evidently had too much to drink, went out on the porch, fell over the rail, and hit his head on the stump.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
It was a bloody mess.
I remember that, but but again, nobody got worked up. They patched him up and
Send him on his way.
sent him on his way. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember. I heard brother say it, but the way I remembered, Haney was there with his playing that darn Hawaiian guitar, and it was always in the summertime or something.
Yeah.
And he had those windows open to his basement.
The jalousie windows or something. He used to play on the back porch.
Yeah,
bro.
he'd sit on the back
He
porch.
play on the back porch.
But
quiet guitar. Yeah, it was just steel guitar,
And the nighttime air would just carry that all over the neighborhood.
You think most people would love it,
but yeah, to brother, I remember being there, and you started howling in his windows and stuff, and you got us to do it.
You.
I don't remember that.
Well,
Oh, really?
that's very minor.
It's
That's very
interesting.
minor. Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that my dad has such vivid memories of you 3, but I found that it's kind of a common thing. Like, brother, you don't remember that about you. My dad doesn't remember certain things about himself. So I am really excited to hear your takes on certain stories. When we can get to this, Dad, I don't want to go off the format too much.
That's all right. That's all right.
I am. Can I, Dad? Is it okay if I just ask to?
Yeah.
Off of our. Okay. When the 3 of you read my dad's book, were they kind of confirming things that you had already known and remembered, or were you surprised by a lot of the things that he wrote?
Well, one of the things I was surprised about that he wrote is him and his friends, the Wentworth boys, evidently kind of broke into Sam's barber shop while they were away on vacation. And of course, the cash register was empty, and they got caught.
Yep.
Does he
Yep.
remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, when I read the book, I remembered certain things that involved me and involved you, involved Ernie, or people, but I had no idea that you were so close to the Wentworths. That's like, no wonder your parents moved. Probably kept you out of jail. So, and of course Billy Lineback.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, I knew what, like you say, any story that involved, like, I just didn't no idea that you and Dick and Mike did that. You were just like, you were a couple of years ahead of us, and
but we were little kids when we did that. That's the thing.
Yeah, you were.
Hey, and that's why you're not in jail. Let me tell you, I can tell you, and the stuff we did growing up, if you did it now, the police would be all over you. It's just, I mean,
Okay, so we kind of skipped over your individual introductions because I can understand you could just start talking about all these things. It's fun. Okay, so I'm curious, as my dad's daughter, were your parents similar in that the three of you just had the freedom to roam around every day? Like, you weren't supervised, you could just get into trouble and no one would really see it, unless it was, of course, crashing a car into, or bigger things like that. What was your, I guess, your parents' approach to parenting you as kids?
I think we all had the run of the neighborhood. You would get up in the morning in the summer, you get up in the morning, eat something, and you go out, and you might not go home until dinner time. And, they never worried about you. They never, half the time they didn't know where you were, but no one ever seemed to get in any trouble. And it was just a different time, but we would actually be miles away from home, riding bikes and all that. And no one thought anything of it. And it was
no cell phones or anything like that.
You're right, Bill. You and Ernie probably rode bikes. We used to go out Loch Raven on occasion. We'd ride bikes out there.
How many miles is Loch Raven, by the way?
It's a good 5 at least.
5 to 8.
Yeah, away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And be gone all day, and you get home in time for supper. And the worst thing I could do would be come home late for supper.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't like it, But then you ate supper, and in the summer, you went back to Willoughby Road and played hide and seek when it got dark. Remember when it got dark? And it was such freedom.
Do you think that? So my dad had he had a really unique perspective to start his book out with in the introduction, and that I hadn't heard before. And he said it was because his theory was that because his parents, everyone's coming off of the end of the war. And so they've seen and heard things from the war that, like, of course, anything kids do, it's going to pale in comparison to things that went on in the war. So coming home after that, it's like, go do whatever, because nothing's going to be as bad as what we just came out of. Is that, do you think that's true?
I do. I never thought of it until I read it in his book.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, like our parents, they grew up in a depression, and then the Second World War. And I guess, 4 kids in a safe place running around, that was no worry. I mean, long as the cops didn't bring you home, you could get away with pretty much anything. And
well, Sarah, too, that maybe your parents didn't see the Bill and Ann didn't see Bill and Ernie. My parents saw them. The Wentworth's parents saw them. Linebackers. I mean, parents watched out for all the kids. I mean, you were likely to have another parent tell you, "Stop doing that. That's not right," and you did. But
yeah.
And it's not like they didn't know where you were. They may not have seen you, but it was a freer time. I mean, traffic wasn't like it is today.
Right.
Especially as you folks would know out there. And because here it's getting just as horrible. But I mean, you didn't have to worry about those things.
No, and we were at the end of the bus line.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much beyond us, And,
good point.
Yeah.
Fountain Green.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember when you moved to Fountain Green, I thought that was rural.
Oh my God.
Mackerel.
Well, it was. You had cows for neighbors.
We had cows in our backyard every now and then.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember getting up there and visiting you and Ernie, and we'd take BB guns to go back by the pond and shoot frogs. I mean, now we'd be, PETA would be all over us. I mean, it was different. We weren't nasty or mean. That's just being kids.
Yeah.
Sarah, that's right. I forgot. After we moved to Bel Air, to Fountain Green, the Wrights, Alverta and Steve came up to visit us a couple times, I think.
Yeah.
And then you guys invited us down to stay with you guys a few times. So we still stayed in touch that way for a few years. Yeah.
For a little while, yeah. But, as they say, life happens and things go on.
Well,
And,
as you get older,
Yeah. But we never understood.
It expands. But it was a great place. I mean,
Yeah.
Sarah, one time Steve kind of described growing up in Parkville as growing up in Mayberry.
almost.
And that's pretty much the same as it is. It was.
It was.
Mayberry. What's Mayberry?
Oh my God. Andy Griffith Show.
I don't even. I know the Andy Griffith Show, but I didn't know that's where it was set.
That's where it was set. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was set in
Mayberry.
North Carolina.
see, Bill, she's even learning things, right?
I've learned a lot, and we're only a couple episodes in. I've told my dad I have learned more from his book about the 50s and the 60s and just my parents' generation than I had in several history courses. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
It was just it was a good time, and we had good people. And like my sister said, you didn't you had to watch out for your parents, but also everybody else's parents, because they kept an eye on you. It's like, don't do that, Steve.
And
Was it also?
was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's just the way that it was.
Didn't you tell me that Mr. Hudson always knew what was going on in the neighborhood?
Yeah,
because his father,
Your grandfather, he's talking about.
he asked us one day who put the back of dog poop on Haney's porch and set it on fire. Well, it was Jack Bainbridge and Carl House.
Uh-huh.
The old man come out and stomped it out. He cussed him. Goes back in, tracks all this dog poop through his house.
one new carpet.
He wasn't the only one that happened to. But it was always the Grouches.
Yeah.
If you had kids, you didn't have to worry, because they were usually the ones doing it. So,
But you have good grandparents.
and they're good people.
They were good people. You wouldn't want to be nicer people. And like you said, I think your grandfather was he was a kid himself. I mean, he knew what was going on.
Well, he probably did. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
You couldn't get anything by him.
Yeah.
Couldn't get anything by him. So.
In Greenback Hill, he probably did the same thing. Growing up.
Yeah. That's
Sarah,
nice to hear.
the one thing I remember that Steve and Alverta mentioned was the parents were very close, and I remember, I think your mom, Miss Wentworth, my mom, maybe a couple others, I don't know, but they used to bike ride together.
In the evenings.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But they all stayed in touch. They all knew what each kid was getting for Christmas because it was train time and everybody got trains together. Everybody got their bikes at the same time. It was a lot of communication between the parents.
And I know my mother would talk to me and she'd say stuff like, well, what about this? What about that? And I'm thinking, how do you know about that? How do you know about that? Well, I guess it was the parental grapevine, keep an eye on them, watch them,
That's something, I mean, I have to say just from, it's something I'm envious of because not only are, my husband, we have a 4-year-old, the three of us are the only ones that are living out of state. We're up in Washington near Seattle. Even though we chose to move up here and we knew we'd be away from the majority of our families, it's almost tough to hear certain stories because it's like, man, it is so different now. Like it's a lot harder even just to make parent friends. You have to, especially in the first few years, it was tough for me because, pandemic aside, like you have to meet, other parents outside of school time, maybe at like a, mom's group or some type of extra curricular thing that you really have to invest yourself in. It's just a lot harder, I think. And we don't have the villages anymore necessarily. Like, you hear it takes a village. It's just different. So I don't know. I just think that that's so neat. And I can imagine a handful of reasons why it's changed, but I think, of course, cell phones, technology, parents just having to work more, I think. Like
Yeah.
we're all just so much more distracted and just have more responsibilities.
And you really, I think now parents are much more, you got to watch out for your kids much more. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's like we would disappear all day, and I don't think they didn't worry. I mean, they might wonder where they are, but I mean, we always came back, and like Bill will tell you, you would go to the movies, you sit there all day, you watch it twice, and you walk down Parkville and just walk around and look in the dime stores and all that. And we were gone all day, and I never got the impression that they worried about me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up, you eat something, and then it's like your whole neighborhood is an open park. It's just
yeah, it is. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
and you're playing baseball, basketball, street football.
Yeah. And your parents could look out the window and see you.
Yeah, they could hear you.
There you were. You could, yeah.
They could hear you. Yeah.
You know, I can still, Bertie, I still my desk goes up and down here, but I remember before we had fences, we all played I remember playing football in your yard and what used to be the Lees. Before the Novaks moved in was the Lees. And we would be back in that area. And I remember being taught how to play football by brother. I remember my first game of football was back in those backyards.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That's where everybody learned to do everything.
Yeah.
Either the street or the yards.
Yeah.
And the thing was, Steve, I think, like you said, as soon as we came home, we went outside. There was nothing. I mean, TV was we didn't even have a TV. I think Sturmer's was the first one to get a TV, but there was no TV to hold you inside. We just went outside. That was where it was. The
On
only
a rainy day would drive you crazy because you had to, rainy days you'd stay in and it would just drive you nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask Brother's back? And I wanted to ask Brother a question. Brother, you came up with nicknames for people, and I know you called me Howdy Doody, and I got to admit I kind of look like Howdy Doody. But there was this other guy that lived up the street, and he had just gotten his driver's license, and his name was Denny. And then you ended up calling him Denny Dinwiddie.
Oh,
You remember
And you told me a story on how he got his name. Do you remember that story?
No, but I remember him. Is that Denny Klein?
I think, let me help you. You told me, I thought, that you went to see Denny race. He had a little MG or Triumph or something car. And you went to see him race it, I thought.
Now, well, Vernon Sturmer hung that name on him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Richie Sturmer's brother, you remember?
Right.
He hung that name, Denny Dimwit. His name was Dennis Klein. And big guy. He had a sister named Paula.
Paula Dimwit.
She was kind of attractive girl.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That cancels everything out. Right.
Yeah, Paula. She was pretty good looking.
Well, you got that story somewhere, Bill. It's a good story.
No, it was sitting with you. And I thought you said that you went to see him race his MG, and he was in the parking lot of a Ralph's or something, and he lost the race terrible. And you went and asked him why he lost, and he said he forgot to take off his emergency brake.
I don't remember that.
Okay. I couldn't make it up. I thought that's how he got the name Denny Dinwiddie.
A lot of people around here, Grace.
Well, Vernon Sturmer hung the name on him.
Yeah.
Maybe Butch told you the story, Bill.
Maybe it was Butch.
Yeah.
Just remember these.
Alverta, what were you going to say?
What are you going to say, Bert?
No, that's okay.
I just want to because I can see how you can you get together and then you just take off and you just start remembering all these stories.
Oh
And,
yeah.
but I have to remember we are doing a podcast, and I kind of forgot about that.
Okay.
So let me come back to this great outline that my dad put together. So, yeah, Dad, do you want to? We kind of touched on this, but I think it would be important to tell people how you tried to keep everything, as close to the truth as possible. But you did end up meeting up with these guys and talking with them, and then you got inspired to write the book. Do you want to talk about that meeting?
Well, it was kind of like us just rambling on here, just remembering different stories, but it was the same general thing. We all got home, and the Wrights all went to Catholic school, by the way. And I think our whole neighborhood, I would say 90% was Catholic, but out of the 90%, half of us went to public school,
Right.
and half of us went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
And then the half that went to public school, we still had to go to Catholic school. Oh, every Sunday we had to go to Sunday school. And
Yeah. Good for you.
but yeah, I remember the Wrights on Sunday. The Wright family they didn't have to go to Sunday school since they went to the Catholic St. Ursula's Catholic school, but their family would be walking to church, and everybody was dressed up in those days. Men wore suits, and women were dressed up with hats and gloves, and
You're right.
yeah, it was and
If
it was
they
every
only
Sunday.
knew, Bill, if they only knew what they were doing when they were walking up there.
But anyhow, that day when we talked, it was much like this. It's
just sitting there, and one thing just leads to another.
Yeah.
And what about this guy? What about trying to catch up with the people?
Yeah.
Do you feel like my dad has because I think he has just this incredible memory. He's able to remember such the details of a specific event or a story. Like, did you guys feel that way when you were recalling these stories, or were these more of a collaborative effort, I guess?
Well, I would think that, as we got into them, everybody added to what they remembered, and it would kind of either make it more cohesive or just out and out disprove it.
Yeah. I you say, I can give you chapter and verse of a lot of the stuff I did growing up. It stayed with me. And it because it was just so much fun, and a certain element of dangers at time, but stupidity, kids being
Kids.
us not being very bright. You didn't think of consequences. But I can remember a lot of stuff that, if
Steve,
my parents ever found out.
no, not Molotov cocktails.
Oh, well, that started out. I was watching the news one day. You remember, and Sarah's not going to remember this, the Hungarian Revolution? Do you remember that, Bill, in the news?
1956.
Before she was born.
I know. Well, she remembered Mayberry, but anyway, and they would show the Russians pulled tanks into Budapest, and they showed these people throwing these bottles laden with gasoline with a rag fuse. And I was watching that. And so one day I said to Shafe, "You ever see a Molotov cocktail?" He said, No. I said, "Well, it's gas in a jar with a rag fuse. And you'd light a little fire. You're supposed to throw it because then it spreads." Well, Steve was a kind of a gas freak. So all of a sudden we get his mother's old mayonnaise jar. We go to where his father kept the gas for the lawnmower, filled it up. One night we put a rag on it. You know where Haney's Wall is?
Yeah.
Haney's Wall, the big fence.
I was wondering if Haney was going to be involved in this story.
Haney was, yeah.
or Paleo.
And there was a big tree between Haney's Wall and Schaefer's backyard. So we put it behind the tree, and being bright kids that we were, we did have a bucket of water just in case things got out of hand. But anyway, we got it. We put it down behind the tree. put a little gas on the fuse, but the short fuse. We lit it and we ran around the front of the tree and put our backs to the tree and all that. And when that flame hit that gas, it got bright as day. I mean, it got bright as day. And Steve Schaefer's parents were in their living room, which luckily was in the front of the house, because it got bright as hell. And we look at one another and it's like it's burning. And we think, what are we going to do? Because the tree could, the leaves in the tree could catch fire. So one of us, I can't remember which one, took the bucket of water and doused it as best we could. But that thing, it got bright as day, and we never got a second's price. It scorched the wall, Bill. Haney's wall got scorched on Schaefer's side.
Oh my gosh.
Why? And somebody was, and the ironic thing about it is, this was not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago. The kid that lives next to me, he and a friend, they were like 10. I went out back one day and I saw the remnants of a campfire, and it's in the middle of a wooded area. And I said to Joan, I got to tell Diane that you might burn their shed down or something like that. Wouldn't that be, didn't want that to happen. So a little while later, I saw Schaefer. And I was telling him all about it. I says, these kids are building fires. And he looked at me and he said, yeah. That's all he said. He said, yeah. I said, oh, never mind. Who am I talking to? And another thing we used to do is Schaefer had a Crosman BB gun. It was powered by CO2 gas and it had little cartridges. And when it ran out of gas, they were no more good. They were pieces of metal. Yeah. So, and I think I may have learned this from you and Carl House.
Making bombs.
Yeah, we would take matches, stick them in there, and take like a screw and grind it up. Grind up all the matches. And we'd pack it. Yeah. Then we go up Romick Field, Bill. Remember Romick Field?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, up in the woods.
Big field in the middle of the woods. And again, we dig a little trench, put this thing in there, because for some reason we thought it was going to propel it up. But we lit that thing, that fuse took off. Luckily, we were away, and those suckers would blow up. I mean, it was, and come to think of it, that was a mini pipe bomb. I mean,
Okay.
but we didn't.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, and the living proof that God looks out for fools. We all have our hands and eyes and ears, and no one ever got hurt. We never got hurt. I mean,
that is a miracle. There's a lot of miracles that have resulted, I think, from these stories. Okay, let me ask you, Dad, I have a feeling I know how you would answer this. What would you say to a kid, say, who's 10 years old? If you found a kid doing that exact thing today at a park, what would you say? What would you think?
I would think they're foolish. I mean, I would tell them, don't do it. But I mean, when you're 10, there's the problem. Therein lies the problem. And,
Young and foolish.
Yeah, young and foolish. And again, through everything that happened, no one really got hurt. And it was dumb luck. I mean, really, there is.
Well, once in a while, somebody got hurt. Because I remember there was a kid that lived right up School Road I thought his name was Ronnie Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
But one day in the Baltimore Sun newspaper was a picture of Ronnie Robinson in the hospital with his hand all bandaged up.
Yeah, I remember.
And he had made a bomb and blown off one finger. And he was on the front page of the Sun newspaper.
Yeah.
Do they still have the Baltimore Sun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember that incident.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
just kids did foolish things. I mean,
Bill, he might have been a little bit older. He should have been starting to have good sense.
Who knows? I mean,
Connie Robinson's brother.
Yeah.
Like what we used to do riding bikes, you would wonder why. You see all kid doing it now, you would warn him about it. But I mean, or sleigh riding. sleigh riding down his hill.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
remember they put the ramp in the middle of the hill, and people would go off their ramp, and cars parked on both sides of the street.
Right.
Off we went. I mean,
That was Mr. Myers built that
Yeah.
ramp, is the way I remembered it.
yeah,
It was right
Yeah.
in front of his home. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So, Alverta, it seems like you've been kind of laughing along with these stories and maybe not having a whole lot to add, but I did hear a story recently that my dad told me about water balloons. You and my dad getting into a water balloon fight. Do you remember anything about that?
Well, I would like to correct your father on that. I would have never thrown a frozen water balloon at your father. He was a friend of mine. If I was going to throw a frozen water balloon at somebody, it would have been at him, my brother, my older brother. But Bill, I never would have thrown the frozen one at you. I would throw a water balloon at you. But not
Did you
frozen.
have frozen water balloons ready?
Pardon me?
Did you have frozen water balloons ready?
No, I did not.
Oh, Alverta, get out of here. Get out of here. I can remember so well, like it happened yesterday. We were in the water balloon battle. Alverta ran into her basement door and showed up on their brand new balcony in the backyard. And she's up here with these balloons. And I was hiding in Novak's yard right behind this big tree. And I remember thinking, Alverta's up there, she's ready to throw. And I said, you know what? I'll stick my head out so she'll waste the shot. And when that shot's coming down, I'll wing one at her. Well, I stuck my head out and she throws this balloon at me. And it was like a perfect shot. She had a great arm and it was coming right at my head. I didn't account for a perfect shot. So I had to pull my head back rather than wing another balloon up. And when I pull my head back, I hear crack, and the balloon bounced off the tree I was hiding behind and rolls on down. Some bark flies off. It was her frozen water balloon. So, oh my God.
Well, then, Bill, I don't remember that.
Okay, here's a perfect example, right?
Right, right.
I would love to see a follow-up book written by the Wrights at some point that has stories about my dad that he's forgotten.
I don't think I was a delinquent, or I think I was like probably the good example in the neighborhood. That's the way I remember my life.
Well, maybe. But if we wrote a book, we'd all be arrested now.
Speaking of Alverta, what about a marble cannon?
I was never good at marbles. I hated marbles.
oh yeah, marble
What
yo-yo.
about making cannons, though, that you could shoot marbles with? People working on the steeple.
Oh, slingshots.
Yeah.
Did you own a slingshot, Bill?
I remember shooting. I remember brother teaching us how to make them and telling us to get red rubber. It was better than the black rubber. And that was brother.
Yeah.
And yep. But
Our uncle taught him that.
it was Uncle John.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
taught him that.
I remember him.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Yep.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
that's who we get a lot of this stuff from.
Yeah. 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 Now he had quite a childhood.
Yeah. But yeah, marbles, yo-yos. I mean, you know.
Hey, I did want to ask you guys this. Do you remember rock and roll came out when we were kids?
Yes.
And then we had dances in different basements. Alverta, do you remember this? Because I remember our basement, my father had just kind of cleaned it up and made it like they call it a club cellar. But
Yeah.
he finished it off kind of nice. So we would have dances in our different basements. And Alverta always got more girls for us because the neighborhood was all guys. So Alverta brought friends from St. Ursula's over.
From school. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And girls who lived down like Mary McCulloch, who used to live on Topaz Avenue, but she went to school with me. And people like that.
Yeah.
Maybe from St. Ursula's.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Bill, you talk about going to Sunday school every Sunday. at St. Ursula's School, we had Sunday school 5 days a week for senior school.
What do you guys remember about the nuns there?
Brutal.
Well, yeah, you're going to get a couple different stories.
Yeah.
I didn't find them so horrible, but my older brother and I did have, you had her too, Sister Ann Cecilia.
Oh yeah.
We all had this one nun. She just, I hate to say this, was almost kind of hateful. And,
Yeah.
she was not a very pleasant person. It wouldn't have mattered what she had turned out in life, whether it be a teacher, a nun, a nurse, or a lawyer. She was just unpleasant. And
Yeah, well,
that was the worst one.
I think, and looking at it strictly from a boy's standpoint, they always preferred the girls. I can't understand why. I mean, but then you had 64 kids in one classroom, and in order to keep control, we had a nun in the 5th grade. There were 64 of us in that classroom, 8 rows.
In one classroom or across the grade?
No, in one classroom. We had 8 rows of 8 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was not unusual. I mean,
That was normal.
Across the hall in the other 5th grade, they had 63.
By the way, Steve, we had 44 is the number I remember per class at Parkville Elementary, the public school. 44. But
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys. Well, Steve, you and I talked later. We all went, when we went to high school, we went to dual sessions or something like that.
Yeah,
Because it was so.
In grammar school, we went to half sessions in the 4th grade or something. But and I think when we went to the 5th, that's why it was like 127 kids in the 5th grade, only 2 classrooms. And,
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, she would come in there after lunch. We'd all be, everybody's hyper and all. She would come in there and she would slam the door and say, "I want to hear a pin drop." And I guarantee you, by the time she took the pin out of her habit and dropped it, and being a Wright, I was always in the back, in the last row in the back. You could hear it hit the floor. I mean, discipline, boom. I mean, it was, but 64 kids. I mean, and
sorry, go ahead.
And they taught every subject. You didn't leave. They taught you religion, English, math, history, art, science. They taught everything. And
was this through what grade?
8th grade, 1st through 8th. Yeah.
So was that mainly how they kept that many kids in line, I guess, just through, like fear-based teaching?
Pretty much fear-based. Yeah, at least the boys.
Well, Sarah, you didn't want to go home and say, "Sister hollered at me," because you were going to get hollered at again.
They could do no wrong.
Yeah.
But
it was a different time.
Yeah.
But it was certainly nothing. I mean, I remember when I was working, it was a bunch of us. We went to like private boys' schools, and we're all sitting around talking one day at lunch about some of the things we've seen or we experienced in high school. And, and one of the women was sitting there at lunch and she says, "Boy, it sounds like you guys hated it." And the universal response was, "No, we didn't hate it." It was school. I mean, again, you got 40 boys in a class, ages 13, you start in the freshman year, and by the time you get to be a senior, you're 17. How do you control them? I mean, but I mean, it wasn't brutal, but I mean, it was just, I guess, it's something you just gain tolerance of when you start out in the 1st grade. And it's like, I mean, I read when you said you carried those chairs down the steps in Parkville and you fell down, and didn't you go into the teacher or something like that? Or
Yeah, knocked her down the steps.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it happens in every school.
Hey, Steve, by the way, I got a call from this lady who went to St. Ursula's. She read the book and she said, she was in the class with Vincent Jepp. Oh, she said she was in the same class as Vicki Wentworth and Vincent Jeppy.
Oh,
And
what
she said Vincent Jeppy one day, he was a big dude. I don't know if you remember him. He lived
Yes.
up on Summit Avenue.
yes.
Yep.
Okay. He got in trouble, and the nun, she said, picked him up and hung him on one of the coat hangers. And he hung there for the rest of the day.
Served it.
Bill, that's absolutely believable to me. I kid you not.
Yeah, they had
Wow.
Sarah. They had some big nuns.
Yeah, they had some
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh,
but
I have so many questions. We might even have to do a part 2 because I would love to even do a second episode talking about like just the differences in, I mean, school. That could be an episode. School growing up and discipline, and like what would happen if a kid acted out, and maybe how that affected you growing up versus today. You know, I've got, you know, 2 of my sisters are elementary school teachers, and they have so much on their plates with, you know, like 30 kids. It's just they've got like, and they teach a little bit of each subject, and they've got so much responsibility.
And they got helpers, Sarah. They have full-time helpers for
Well,
their
but they-
30 kids.
Okay, see, it's interesting you say it that way, because this is exactly the kind of thing, like exactly reason I wanted to do this podcast and talk about, because hearing your stories of school, and this is the way it was, and then Dad, you kind of like smiling about them having helpers. Well, we're so night and day different on so many levels. like I don't know, maybe, I'm sorry, there's no question in there. I'm just kind of reflecting on a lot of things you're saying. It's just such a different time, you know. There's so many differences. Just
Sarah,
curious, what if, was anyone in your classroom growing up considered like an emotional kid? Like what would happen if you cried? I mean, what would happen if you kind of acted out because you didn't agree with something the nuns were doing? Like what would happen? Was there any of that?
I think really what the difference between parochial schools and public schools was the size of the class, and that the nun usually had complete control. And if you did act out, you didn't do that often, because the next thing you know, that child was gone, and they were in public school. And you know, in parochial schools or private schools, that wasn't tolerated like it is today. I mean, we probably didn't understand HD, you know, HHAD, or, you know, or,
ADHD,
Yeah,
attention
I'm saying-
deficit,
yeah,
hyperactive,
yeah, hyperactive kids, that wasn't tolerated, and you towed the line. And
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, I see your point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've spent 12 years in a Catholic school, and I guess the most acting out I ever saw was in elementary. And again, we had one kid he was kind of, just say, more mature than the rest of us, and he did stuff that we didn't understand. Well, he was gone the next year. Again, you know, they either threw him out or his parents took him out, and he became somebody else's problem, I guess.
yeah,
They have the ultimate sanction. You know, you're not coming
Oh.
back. You know, you're not. Whereas in public schools, they didn't have that. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Then
you
what
would
would
dump.
that look like in public school then, if say those kids came into your class? If you had a kid with maybe ADHD, or, you know, say you had a kid that was considered, you know, like difficult at the time, like what would happen?
You know,
Well, I think in public school, they gave them what we had called special education. We probably wouldn't be allowed to say that today. That wouldn't be not politically correct. Just that they were now children with problems, and you had to adjust for them. So that's where most, I guess, we would have wound up in a special ed class.
There are definitely, I mean, you could say special education. There's definitely special education teachers and programs, but
Right.
I think it's interesting because, so going totally off script. I actually have, I was diagnosed not with ADHD, but with ADD in college. So it's just the attention deficit disorder. I'm not sitting here jittery. I can't, I can sit still, but I think about kids with ADHD having a really hard time in a classroom. And it's like sad to me that they would get just kicked out for something that is, a disorder, so it's,
again, it was a different time.
Yeah. You're talking 1950s where,
right.
I'm sure we had kids in some of my classes, which were probably that way. And it might explain some of their problems, but it wasn't, I won't say as well known or as,
Right.
I don't know what you would call it, but
Yeah.
now everybody's more educated to that. They know that that's a problem and they recognize it. Where back in then, I don't know whether the teachers or even, had any idea that existed or something, I don't know.
Probably not. I mean, a lot of it is so new.
Exactly.
Do you think that type of education and learning environment affected you outside of school? Like, were you sometimes like afraid to maybe act out or, not kind of fall in line around your parents?
No, I don't. I never had that problem.
No.
But I never acted out much in school anyway.
Yeah.
I was more willing just to be quiet and let everybody else not even know I'm there. But I think maybe that was part of the atmosphere. Now, as I look back on it, maybe it's like just sit there and be quiet, and
Yeah.
Pass you by, you won't get in trouble.
You do your work. You toe the line.
Yeah.
And and maybe that's where it came from. And
Well, so when my dad talked about rock and roll in his book, he also, another thing he said that I hadn't heard before, kind of like the introduction to his book, was that rock and roll sort of established a third group. It established a group of teenagers, like adolescents, whereas before rock and roll, there were kids and there were adults. So maybe I'm assuming like maybe that's part of why you just said that, because you go to school expected to act like more mature and more like that's your job and just kind of fall in line. But was rock and roll as big as my dad said it was?
Oh, I think so. Oh God, yeah.
Absolutely.
Bill, remember going down to Parkville, like Ben Franklin's, and he used to sell records?
That's where I used to buy my records.
And you could test them on the record player there?
Exactly.
And, and you could play it as many times as you wanted to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean.
And the way I remember, Steve, I think they were like 99 cents back then.
Yeah, 99 cents. And it was, and all the big bins of records. And it was very big, Sarah, very big.
You know what I remember? I wrote it in the book, Sarah. One day I was walking to Ben Franklin's. I was going to buy a record. And I had something in mind. I don't know what it was, Little Richard or something. And on the way there, I'm walking with Jake Miller. And we got to about where the Emerald Tavern was. Okay. And Jake says, hey, did you hear the new record by Elvis Presley? And I said, no. And he says, I remember him saying it's like, all shook up or something like that. I said, well, Jake, what's it go like? He says, I don't know. I don't remember the words, but it goes, a-hookaboo, or something like that. And I laughed so hard at Jake Miller trying to describe that record. I bought it. We got down there and I played it. I bought it. Oh, it was funny.
Sarah, the first time we saw Elvis Presley on TV, the Ed Sullivan Show, my mother was there watching that. And, he's always gyrations and everything. And she just said to us, she says, he's just being ornery. She liked it. She thought it was, good. But he's just being ornery with all that shaking. So.
Bill, She said the same thing about Bruce Wentworth.
No, that was his mother.
No, your mother said, he's just ornery. Okay, Mom.
Do you think that just listening to that, did you guys notice any shift in like, I don't know, personalities and the way that you guys were acting as kids around then? Like, do you remember
No,
a
we weren't that
distinct
bright.
difference?
I mean, like turning rebellious or something like
Yeah.
that?
No.
Not really, no. I mean,
Yeah.
there may have been a few, but overall,
No.
not that the guys I hung with, the people I hung with, no, there weren't, it wasn't. I think the people I hung with were more affected by like the hippie generation.
Huh.
The 60s, the late
Yeah,
60s.
early 60s, 64, 65, I think they were more affected by that. And that became more of a cultural thing than to me, rock and roll.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How old were you when like you first heard Elvis?
I was about 14 or 15.
Yeah, I was going to say I was 12, I think.
Yeah, well, I had to be about 10. Yeah.
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 I remember buying Jailhouse Rock and a couple of those songs.
Oh, yeah. Blue Hawaii.
Yeah.
Blue Hawaii. That movie, Blue Hawaii.
I remember you guys had like we used to call it a hi-fi stereos
Yeah.
record player sitting in your dining room, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
That was
It
my
was
mother.
state of the art.
Oh yeah, we were cutting edge, Bill. We were cutting edge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh.
We were cutting, but yeah, I mean, rock and roll was big. I mean, geez, whiz. I mean, that really, I think that would help develop, but it certainly propelled us from like this certain age to like teenagers.
Mhm.
I think rock and roll really,
Now see,
helped that.
Bill, this is how bad my memory's getting. Who was the fellow who directed the movie that you graduated? John Waters.
Yeah.
What was the movie that he did with Divine?
Pink
and-
Flamingos.
No, it was the one with the quote the Buddy Dean show.
Oh, Hairspray.
Hairspray. Sarah, you have to rent the movie Hairspray.
I have seen Hairspray, but it's been a long time. So
Okay.
I should watch that.
That was Baltimore in the late 50s, early
Yeah,
60s.
Is that the
That's
Buddy
based
Dean
on-
show?
That's based on the Buddy Dean show. Yeah.
Mhm. Steve went to high school with the director,
Really?
John Waters.
Yeah, John.
He went to Catholic school, Sarah.
Yeah,
What was he like?
Does that answer your questions?
That's a lot of pieces together. What was he like in school?
He was quiet. I mean, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, you become like a nodding acquaintances. We had 300 guys in our class, so you become nodding acquaintances. But I mean, now he's an artist. Sorry, Bill, he's an artist. He does stuff. He's got his own show at the BMA. Incredible.
Oh my.
Yeah, but, I think rock and roll was big. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was our own music. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Some of the parents my parents actually liked some of it. And it sounds like Mrs. Wright liked some of it. But a lot of parents and a lot of TV shows and critics hated it. They thought it was
it was
Satan's music, but
Can you
It was-
compare it to anything today or anything recently? Like when rock and roll came out, can you even compare it to something that maybe has happened in our generation?
nothing was as big as rock and roll, I don't think. That was my opinion. You got different kind of music today, hip hop
Yeah.
or whatever, but nothing was changed the world like rock and roll did.
Maybe the Beatles.
Yeah.
The Beatles, and that made it all international.
Yeah.
The Beatles and all those British groups, and then you got all. I think that really opened the world up
Yeah.
to musicians. I mean, that's.
Do you remember like one of the first times you heard the Beatles? Do you remember thinking, wow, this is very different? Or did it?
It didn't strike me as being different. They struck me as being different because he had the long, what was considered long hair at the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think their music was radical.
No.
I mean, it's all, if you listen to them talk in the beginning, a lot of it was very simple, and it was just whatever it was, I mean, I remember when the first time I heard them, you hear them on the radio, this is the Beatles, and it's like, I Want to Hold Your Hand or something like that. And it was nice. It was catchy. But then when you saw them, but of course, when you saw them, they had suits and ties on. And I mean, the only big difference was the long hair, which was long then, not now. But I mean, it was noticeable. It was,
There was just a different time.
Yeah.
as your father's been telling you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of it I'm envious of, but I mean, obviously there's no going back. We can't simplify the world that we're living in now. It's just
No.
Oh no.
different.
It makes it harder for someone like us to think, boy, remember how it used to be? I mean, and that's natural. Everything progresses. I mean, changes. Nothing stays the same. So
Yeah. Is there anything that you think about, like, that my generation has or that we're experiencing where you're like, man, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that?
Mostly everything.
yeah. I don't know. The world seems like it's a crazier place, but we're all dealing with that. But you just think of what your kids are going to have to,
Yeah.
which changes are going to happen in their lifetimes. I mean, we've seen so much good stuff, but we've seen stuff that's not so good. So
Yeah, the social media and the bad effect that can have on kids and their self-image, to me, is frightening. To me, I don't know how I would have survived that.
Well, I remember, and this is one thing, Sarah, bullying. Every kid growing up probably experienced a bully at one time. And this is what it didn't dawn on me at the time, because I hear it, you read about now, it's a big problem and all that. And I was saying, well, when we experienced them, you might have experienced them in school. So when you left school, you didn't see them.
Right.
You didn't have to hang with them. But then it dawned on me, with social media, these poor kids can't get away from that. I mean,
Right.
It's 24/7. And how do you handle that? I mean, that's one thing I'm glad
That's a good point, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, these kids, and like, yourself, I mean, and well, everybody everybody got made fun of, at some point in life, but nowadays it just seems like it's so mean and cruel. We would just say it jokingly or something, like some nicknames, stuff like that. But after a while, it didn't mean anything. But now it seems so mean and hurtful. It's like, well, you're really an imperfect person, and
Yeah.
I guess imagine a kid that would drive them to distraction. Like, I mean,
It's awful. I mean, yeah, there's a lot in what you just said that I'm thinking about, but I was in high school when we all got the internet. So I've been able to see the before and after the internet. And I can't imagine, even having the internet, I didn't have social media going through high school. Just like you're saying, if I ever had a bully in high school, or I'm sure if a kid said something about me, now that one comment or that one person, they can just saturate your entire life all the time.
Exactly.
Then they can get other people on board, and then it's just compounded and it grows exponentially. So I was very lucky that I missed that, but I coached volleyball for a long time out of college, and I coached these 15-year-olds, and I saw firsthand just the toll that it takes on them. You almost can't even coach them certain days because you just see it on their face. They're done. They can't do it.
It's just like a constant pressure on them. Constant.
Yeah.
They get up in the morning, they turn their screen on, and there it is, and
Yeah.
At least if you had a bully at school, you left them at school.
Right. And you came home.
You came home when you were with your friends, and weekends you didn't have to bother with them. And usually in those days, it didn't last.
Yeah.
No, we all grew up.
Yeah, everybody agreed. But now it just seems like once it's thrown out there, it just sticks, and
Yeah.
that's the one thing I don't have to deal with.
Yeah, that must be terrible.
I think it's been so great for so many reasons. We've come such a long way, and we've learned a lot about each other because of the internet and our smartphones. But at the same time, I just reading this book and just hearing your stories, it's like, man, I wish all of us could experience a taste of that as kids growing up.
It was like, I have a friend of mine, Steve Schaefer, and we'll say this, we were just so lucky growing up, especially in youth. Like Billy's 13, 14. That was such an easy time. I mean, that we were just so lucky that we were there for that, because boy, things did change, and I guess we probably didn't cope as well as we should. Who knows? But you give it your best shot.
Another thing I think of when you said that, Steve, is when I go back to the baseball, the sandlot playing, and we needed everybody in our neighborhood to play ball. So I don't remember really picking on anybody or bullying anybody in the neighborhood around, because we needed them to play ball.
Yeah.
And you might get in a fight or something, but everybody was friendly enough to play ball the next day. And
didn't mean anything.
Right.
Didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we came home from school and you were with the people who accepted you for just the way you were. and there wasn't any picking on, because like you said, we had to play ball.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, I mean, there's no. At least in our area, Hiss Avenue, Willoughby, Texas, there were no cool kids. Everybody was like the same. There was, how some schools have the cool kids, and then there's the other kids. And then, ain't nobody in Parkville cool.
I just saw Brother walk around. The one thing with Brother and Alverta, Steve, I remember when Brother was the lead. To me, he was the lead. My parents would let me go with Brother, Alverta, Steve. I don't remember you going with us to Memorial Stadium, but we walked about almost a mile from our house to get to the number 19 streetcar. And then that would go maybe 5 miles, I'm guessing at miles now, 5 miles to Clifton Park and drop us off. And I remember walking with Brother, Alverta, myself, and we walked down to Memorial Stadium and watched a minor league game at the time, because I don't think the Orioles became a major league team until like 56 or something, or.
Well, they came to Baltimore from the St. Louis Browns, became the Baltimore Orioles. I think it was in 1954.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're right. We used to do that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Our parents would let us do that. I mean, I was in good hands. I was with Brother Wright.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, right. Oh my God.
We used to walk from Harford Road down 33rd down this 30.
Oh yeah.
It was a mile walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to, we used, like you say, doing that. It was like, you get on the bus. We used to get on the bus and get down to the Civic Center and watch the Bullets play.
Wow.
And then come home, get on the bus, and think nothing of it. And we were like maybe 15, 16 at the time. And your parents say, we're going down to watch the Bullets play today. Okay. As long as I didn't ask them for money, I was all right.
Right.
Dad. Yeah, Dad, let me give me a buck. I think so.
Oh, wow.
For $1.50, you could go to Memorial Stadium and get an upper reserve seat and sit there for.
Oh yeah, those were the days.
And you did it, and it was just a different time.
Yeah. It was fun.
And we were fortunate enough to grow up in it.
Yeah, we were. I mean, and I don't know, talk about difference in schools real quick. Yeah, and the atomic bombs, the air raid stuff. Did you guys did you actually practice getting under your desk?
Yeah, we had air raid practices and we had fire drills regularly.
Yeah, we had fire drills.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had air raid practices.
We did.
You did?
Yeah.
You actually got under the desk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember doing that.
No. As a matter of fact, they used to take us downstairs in the church.
So you could pray.
And you got under the pews. That's what it was.
Oh, geez. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
What was that like when you hear the air raid alarm? What was that like?
It was just something that you practice for. Nobody just want to survive it, but you practice
Yeah,
for
it was one
it.
of them things you grew up. It was like, nuclear war. And all of a sudden, Bill, you remember the air raid siren would go off in the elementary school every Monday at 1:00?
Boy, I don't remember. I just remember constant. I thought it was one from the Methodist Church, I thought. But
It used to be
No, you should be at the Parkville Elementary
on top of
School.
your school. Every Monday at 1:00 they test it.
okay.
Now maybe it was after you guys left or something like that. But I mean, it was like you were saying, Sarah, growing up with different things.
Yeah.
Ours was bomb shelters and nuclear war, I guess, or
Yes.
atomic bombs. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was always tense. That was a certain amount of tension.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's really strange.
Would you say that was the number one thing that made you feel tense at school? Like, can you think of anything else that made you feel wound up or kept you down? I mean, because I'm asking as someone who, I'm 36, and although I missed a lot of the things just simply because I didn't have the internet and what we were talking about, I still feel like as a parent and someone my age, I just feel like there's more pressure and expectations just compounded on us a lot. So
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
am, yeah. Do you,
I now again, maybe it's just me, but through grammar school and even through high school, the only thing in high school I thought was pressure to succeed, pressure to do better in school than you should, but like in grammar school, I don't recall any pressure. I mean, I did well enough, but I mean, I can't say I felt any pressure.
or anything
my
that was like
parents didn't
especially
exert it.
difficult? Yeah. Like any, I don't know, maybe anything that felt like especially difficult, because we've talked a lot about how much simpler it was, to grow up in the 50s and just how fun it was. But can you remember anything that was hard for you guys?
I got a couple. There was the air raids and the threat of the nuclear bomb all the time, but there was also polio was frightening up until and we knew people that got polio. And I remember Chucky Shear got it. Remember that?
Yeah,
Yes.
an iron lung. He was in an iron lung.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was always like a concern anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they were connected, but evidently you weren't supposed to go swimming in late August because for some reason that was connected with polio. And I didn't understand it. But anyhow. So,
all right, get out of here.
yeah.
This is the barking dog.
Yeah. Go.
What kind of dog?
He's just a mutt.
It's a rescue.
And she'll just bark at you and bark at you and bark. She's very quiet now.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Somebody,
That's the quietest she's ever been around me.
well, when she's going to start. So, but no, I mean, like I said, the practicing for the big one coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't often. Maybe you might, if you did it 3 times a year, that was a lot. But
Yeah.
we had more fire drills than we had those.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pressure. Yeah, I can't say in grammar school I felt any pressure. like looking back now, maybe at the time I did, but
Yeah.
um,
But maybe as you got older, you kind of mentioned, your parents wanting you to do really well in school. Was that because, well, I think that Dad, we've talked about this, but it seems to me like your generation your parents had higher expectations of you to, you go through elementary school, go through high school, you go through college with a specific idea in mind of what you're supposed to be learning, which is then going to translate into a very long career at something, at maybe one specific thing.
Well, let me say this, Sarah. When I went to school, I don't know about the Wrights, but I don't remember in our neighborhood any adults having had a college education. I don't remember. My parents certainly didn't.
yeah.
So when I went to school, for me to pick to go to college, that was the first time in my entire family's history that anyone ever went to college.
Yeah.
And
We were probably, among the first, part of that, our generation that even thought that far.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't think that I can't think of a parent that had a college degree.
yeah.
My mother had an education. My father had a ninth grade education.
Or even an older sibling,
Yeah.
went to college. I don't know. Maybe, of course, maybe it was the middle class upbringing that, okay, you get out of high school, you can do what you want to do, or if you want to go to college, but also in those days, Bill, something just came up.
Bill, your eyes are going. There it's
Oh,
going.
your internet, I don't know what it was.
Okay.
But anyway, maybe it was just a fact that, especially in those days, there was, if kids didn't want to go to school or something, all right, and their parents worked at Bethlehem Steel, but that was fine. You get a job at Bethlehem Steel, get a job at GM. I mean, these were jobs for life, you know.
Right.
And if you didn't do anything else, you could work there and make a decent living, and
Did your dad work at Martin's, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. His whole life.
Place, kids graduated from high school and went into manufacturing. Well, they went into the trades, like carpenters, electricians, plumbers. The real rich people of today.
I remember your father rode in a carpool, didn't he? With Mr. Lineback, your father.
No, not Mr. Lineback.
He wasn't Martin's.
No, I don't think so. But my father wasn't. We didn't have a car, so there was guys that picked my father up.
Yeah. I thought Mr. Campbell worked at Martin's. It seemed like there was a Martin group in that general area.
I know my father got Dickie DeFada a job at Martin's. And Dickie DeFada was going with a girl that lived up the street. I forgot what her name was, but
see. Here. Anybody.
That's enough. That's enough of this. No.
See, I knew it had to start sooner or later.
I know.
Come on. Oh, go. Come on. Here. Three.
oh my!
All the time. I don't have my niece puts up barking dogs. Of course, they don't talk when they're here. It's just being strangers.
Yeah.
Martins and.
Your father worked at the Continental Can or something like that?
Yeah, he was a lithographer supervisor. Yeah, foreman.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good job. But you're right. I don't think.
Let me say it this way. Today, I keep hearing young people say, follow your passion. In those days, there was no follow your passion. It was get a job and support.
Where could you have even followed?
Get out of here. She ain't gonna listen.
Take her. Please. You want me to take her?
Well, do it at my house next time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got more options to follow that you're passionate about. You can't, I mean, if someone said that to you, when you're in high school, what would that even mean?
Well, exactly. I always thought like the kids who, even in high school, knew what they wanted to do the rest of their life. They were so far ahead of the rest of us. I mean, I used to work with a guy, and I says, well, Mark, when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? Oh, in the 9th grade. So, that's what he became. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know, I was in college and I decided I didn't want to get a job, so I thought I'd go to law school, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like people want to be doctors. They decide so early,
They seem to know so early.
They're ahead of the curve probably. And in those days they were ahead of the curve.
Right.
I think now the competition's so hard.
Would you say for those kids, were their parents encouraging of them to do what they wanted to do, or do you think there was more of an expectation, just generally speaking, that you were, maybe more expected to follow into the family business or, a company up the street or that type of thing?
Yeah, could have been. But Steve worked for Continental Camp for how many years?
About 9.
About 9 years.
And just decided I'm going back to school and went back to school. So I'm happy. I'm glad I went back. You know what I did find out though? That after working those years and I went back to school, I did so much better.
Huh.
It's incredible. It was like, and then of course, the more you study, the more you read, the easier it becomes. And I'm thinking, geez, but had I decided coming out of high school I was going to college, I'd have lasted about a year. I mean, I got older. I saw that this is not the way to, and I just all of a sudden, and I wouldn't say school was, I enjoyed it a lot more, at the college level and the graduate level. I enjoyed it a lot more, because you were interested in something and you could talk to the professor or talk to your teacher, instructor, or your fellow students had the same interest. It became easier. I mean, I don't know, that's my perspective.
Yeah.
And my perspective also is if you put in enough time, you can do almost anything. I hear people say, oh, I can never graduate from college. I was like, no, you have to put in a certain amount of time to succeed. You, Sarah, may be able to get away with doing, 2 hours on this. May take me 6, but I got to be willing to do it. And if you put in the time and you can, it's not magic. I mean, some stuff might be beyond your grasp, but I'm not sure that's even true anymore. But I found that it gave me a much better outlook, even of myself. I mean, it's like, I can do this, other than right here trying to work this computer today. Thank God you showed up, but your father helped. And but
He's learning.
Yeah, well, it is. That's the hard thing. You got to try and do it.
Can I ask you? Do you remember how much tuition was for college?
Ooh,
that's a person. You don't have to answer that. But
no, I don't have no problem doing it. But I'll be honest with you. I went at night, so I was taking like 2-3 courses a semester. But my wife and I paid for it. We didn't do any student loans, and there was a guy at work. The work had this program. If you're taking a course related to your job, they pay for it.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great.
I worked for the city, and the guy said, I was just talking to him. He was like the head administrative guy in our department, and he says, "Go to school?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "What are you taking?" And I said, "Well, I'm taking some public administration courses." All right, write them up. Let me know. And they paid for about 3 semesters. I mean, just so to answer your question, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because it's not like I'm still paying off student loans or.
It's
you know.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah, really.
Oh, it's so expensive.
And I had all the support at home. My wife she was great. I mean, you know, if I had to study and we couldn't do things or I had to do a paper, not a complaint. I'd write them up and she'd type them up. She would type them. She might not realize. She might just said, I typed some stuff up. I had no idea what you were talking about. I typed them up. I mean, yeah. So,
But she was excellent at that sort of thing. Typing, and she likes to type. And I think that if she could type now, she would do it just to stay in practice.
It would have been a lot easier had we had a computer or a word processor. She did all that on an electric typewriter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. That was
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Wow.
she was good. She is good.
She told me, she said, you know, if we'd have had a word processor, you could have typed it. You're probably right. But.
Hey, Bertie, I got a question for you.
Yes.
You still live in the same house, right?
Yes.
How has the neighborhood changed? Or has it?
I'm the sole survivor of the originals.
Okay.
So
You and Bob Horsley.
yeah, Bob Horsley lives up the
You
street.
remember Bob Horsley?
I remember Horsley's, yeah.
He's still there too.
Yeah, Bob's still there too. Come to think of it, I'm glad you reminded me of that, bud. But you know, houses have changed hands many times over, and it's different. There aren't any kids in the neighborhood anymore.
Yeah, that's typical all around.
Yeah, and but there are people, you know, like I've got good neighbors on the one side. People who live in Lee's house, they're good neighbors.
Okay.
People who lives in home, I don't even speak to. He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
I think he's a vampire. He only comes out at night. So, but we do have good neighbors, you know, across the street and what have you. So, but it's changed a lot. So.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, yeah, like you say, no kids.
No kids.
Well, that's like our all the neighborhoods around, you know, the kids leave, they grow up and they're gone. And our neighborhood, the only kids I think in our block now are the ones living at my house. I got 2 grandsons.
And then all the other grandkids that pile over and
all there yesterday. Wow, we have 20 grandkids, and I think well, a lot of them were at our house yesterday.
Well, Easter, yeah.
We're still cleaning up.
Hey, Sarah, I told him the other day when he was telling about the grandkids coming, I said, you're lucky. You're lucky they want to do it.
Yep.
yeah.
They want to be there. They feel that good there.
Oh, my mom and dad have just created this awesome space for every grandkid looks forward to going over there.
Sure.
Well, I can see why.
Yeah.
Your dad, I don't know your mom. I only met her once. But your dad comes from good stock. Really good.
And she straightened him out.
Yeah.
So.
All of us, it's been a team effort.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to get speaking of my daughter at preschool pretty soon. So I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to do this, because this has been really special. And I appreciate you sharing and confirming a lot of my dad's stories.
Yeah, he's pretty accurate.
Yeah. I can't vouch for the Wentworths, but
most of their stories just seem unbelievable to begin with. So
yeah.
But I can see. I think we ended one of the last episode or the one before talking about how my dad realized recently it wasn't just the place that he was so fond of, that even more so it was the people that made it the place.
Oh, I think so. We were all influenced by each other.
that's what makes a neighborhood is the
Yep.
people. You know, the same thing. You know, you can have a house, but it's the people in the house that make it special.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't forget them.
Nope.
We decided that we would let your where the house your dad grew up in, we call it the baseball house because he was so interested in baseball, and his children and his grandchildren are in baseball, and the people who bought the house from the Hudsons have had boys in pro ball too.
Yeah.
Rusty
Really?
played for San Diego Padres. Billy played for, I think, the Texas Rangers.
In the
In
organization.
the organizations, and I think they were still, connected with them.
Rusty's a scout. Yeah.
And Rusty's a scout now, and I don't know whether he's still doing it.
Yeah, he's-
We all old enough to
We're
retire.
all old enough to retire.
So,
Hey,
Well,
wait, I got an email this week, and a friend of Valerie, who you just met, okay?
yeah,
He is now the groundskeeper, one of the groundskeepers at Camden Yards.
Yeah.
And he took a picture of the front of our house. He says, "Hey, I
He's
read
there?
he read the book and he liked the book." And he took a picture of the front of our house, and somebody, it looks like, finally removed the H that was in a circle.
Yeah, for years.
That my father put there, right?
Yeah.
It was the railing that went around our front porch, and there was an H in the middle. And it
Well,
looks
was
like
just very recently.
they removed it.
He was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were telling me you said something that he might call me or something like that.
We're good. Yes.
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling Joan, I says, we were watching the opening day, and I said, I says, remember Bill said one of his daughter's friends is like an assistant groundkeeper or something there.
Yeah, he just got the job. So we'll let him work there a little bit, and then
Oh, yeah.
I'll see if maybe you'll get some tickets or something. Who knows? Who knows?
Hey, it's a beautiful place.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful stadium. It really
Yeah.
is.
Is there still a sandlot by the church parking lot?
Well,
still a
it's
church
now
there?
a church parking
It's now a
lot. We
church
played
parking-
ball there, but nobody plays ball there anymore.
No, we used to play ball in the church parking lot, yeah. And a home run would, I think Bill might have even been gone by then when he paved the lot.
Yeah.
It's elevated.
Yeah,
Like, it's easy to hit a home run right into the Hudson's front yard. It's
right.
nice of Mike Wentworth and those guys, the big guys, as we used to call them,
Yeah.
They could sit up there and they'd hit one tennis. We played with a tennis ball, so
Yeah.
Okay.
tennis balls where to go. But I mean, they had better luck hitting home runs than we did. Yeah.
I remember being on that. They had finished that lot when I was there. So we had probably 3 years playing on that raised lot.
Yeah.
But I remember going to a game with Alverta and brother at Memorial Stadium. I think we probably watched the Yankees. And then we watched Hoyt Wilhelm warm up. And we remember that was when the days when you could just walk around the stadium, and we got right next to where the guy warmed up, which was right near the dugout there. And we watched Hoyt Wilhelm warm up, and his ball was moving all over the place. And when we got home, brother, you asked me to catch you, and you were throwing knuckleballs at me, and I was scared to death because they were working.
Hey, Bill, I used to make him pay me to play catch with him. Because, and that damn thing's dancing all around,
Right.
and let me try this. Well, and it's like, it was more, we weren't playing catch. He was throwing and I was chasing. Because, I didn't get hit by this thing,
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
lucrative for a while.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, you better get going, Sarah.
Yeah.
We don't want you to be late for your.
Hey,
Ciao.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you. I love the Wrights.
Well,
Always
We feel
have.
the same way about the Hudsons.
Hudsons, yeah,
How's
too.
Ernie and Kathy doing? I got an email from Ernie a while ago, and I got to answer it, but he's been all over the world.
Yeah, he's traveled a lot. We're going to see him in June. We're going to be with Kathy up in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be together there. Haven't been together in a few years. So
Please
Anyhow.
tell her and Ernie that we all said hi.
I will, for sure.
And is Kathy's favorite color still banana yellow?
Oh, I forgot about that. That's
As a
right.
kid, she used to say that. You used to say to her, Kathy, what's your favorite color? And she'd say, banana yellow.
Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
right.
You
Oh
all
my
have a great
gosh.
memory, it seems like. And maybe it's because you didn't have as many distractions as a kid as we do. And I think that's what I'm realizing.
I don't know. I'll ask her that question. That's
They were
funny.
just nice people, the Hudsons, you know, back
Yeah.
and forth.
Yeah.
We weren't on the same party line, were we?
No, we were on a party line with the Wentworths.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pick it up.
That's right, Sarah. This is a quick one, but I talked to
Yeah.
Steve about this. There was a house right behind, between, there was a woods between the Wentworths and Matusas, a little woods.
Uh-huh.
And one day, I forget the year, I'll guess 1956 or something like that. They cleared the woods and they built this house, this brand new house there. And this old couple moved in called the Hineses. And I was thinking, what a coincidence. These people just wanted to retire and live in some quiet little place. And they picked probably the worst lot you could possibly pick in the world, right next to the Wentworths, the Matusas, and the houses. Oh my God. It was horrible.
Oh,
Anyhow.
And we'd always play in the street in front of her house, and she was always going to call the patrol car. Idiot.
And the Wentworths, the lady liked to work in the yard. She kept her yard boots out on her porch. And the Wentworths used to fill her boots with rats and mice and bugs and everything else. Oh, jeez.
Those were the good old days, weren't they, Phil?
for who?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
All
God.
right, well,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
All right. We'll meet you again next month for episode 2.
Yeah. There's going to be a follow-up at some point.
All right,
It's
guys.
going to have to be. All righty.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Sarah,
Thank you.
if you ever feel like you want to punish yourself again, we're available.
I would love it.
Hey,
This
Phil,
is so
she's
fun.
contacted. She's going to run our names through the database. Database, just to make sure.
I already
Well,
know.
you guys will be famous after this.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
right. Yeah. Promise is
Hey,
promise.
take the pressure off. I have no idea who's even going to listen or watch this, but it has been a lot of fun. So we'll see.
It's been enjoyable.
It's been
It's been nice, very
Yeah.
nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice
You
meeting
too.
you.
Tell
Okay.
me to meet the other 7 sometime too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bill, take care.
Take off this.